When you first log in, this is going to be where you need to put your username and your password. So I'll start by putting in the username and password that we're going to be looking at today. And the first thing when you log in is going to be the dashboard. You see 4 tiles here listed. One is your My Favorites, the other is your Support Team, Recent Payrolls, and My Employees. I'm going to briefly go over each of these tiles so that you have a little bit of information in regards to your dashboard. The My Favorites is anything that you frequently go into and that you would want to have access to immediately when you log into your payroll platform. So I have saved a couple of them here because I frequently go into the timesheet entry. I usually do new hires, and I do a lot of employee terminations. So I have made them accessible to me right on my home screen or dashboard. The next thing you'll see is your support team. You will have a list of your team members here with their name, their phone number, and the email address where you can contact them at any time. You'll have your payroll rep, your benefits rep, your sales rep, your human resource rep, and your workers' comp 401k and implementation specialist listed all here for you on your dashboard. Down here in the lower left is your recent payrolls. So anytime you run a payroll and it has been processed by your payroll specialist, that payroll will be listed down here for you to retrieve any and all reports. You would just click on the payroll number, and it's going to open up all the reports that are available to you that you may have received in your payroll package if you desire to receive a payroll package. Over here are blue folders, and this is how you would retrieve the reports that are listed here. So if I click on Prism HR Client Invoice, it's going to open up that invoice listed. I can then save it to my computer and or print it at that time. The last box here on your right is your employees. All your employees, all your active employees will be listed here for your convenience. If you have more employees listed that you do not see, there'll be a running list where you will be able to scroll and be able to choose any of your active employees. Up top, you'll see the clear My logo. You'll see My Company, My Employees, My Payrolls. This piece of paper is Reports, and this is another way to retrieve your favorites. One of the special features of this Clear HR platform is the search bar. In here, you can start to begin to type things, and anything with those words, with those letters or words that come up will be available for you to pick. You can also look up any employees in this search bar. If I decide to choose to start typing in an employee's name, that employee will then show up for me to be able to select. The first box is the My Company box. So let's go into the My Company section. In My Company, you'll have company details and several other options. Maybe the most important thing here is the company details. You can click on the company details and it'll give you all your pertinent information in regards to your company. You are not able to modify and or change any of the grayed out areas. One of the things that will be listed here is in these 3 lines up here, which we call the action bar. It gives you more options. If you click on the action bar, one of the options that are available to you is documents. Any of your documents, your new hire booklets, forms that we may preload in here will be available to you once you come in here. You can also load any documents yourself by loading a document down here. You can choose the file that you so want to choose, and it would load that document so that you would have access to any of those documents here in the company screen. Please feel free to play around in all these different options that you have in My Company, as I'm not going to be going over any of that stuff today. If you click on the logo, it would always bring you back to your dashboard. The next tab is the My Employees tab. My Employees gives you a variety of different options in which you can look at different reports. You can also have different HR functions. Some of the functions that are available to you are employee termination, new hires, a paycheck calculator, pay rate changes, position changes, rehires, and status type change. One of the things I want to go over today is the new hire process. When you click on new hire, you're going to be able to enter the Social Security number, and you are able to choose 2 ways of entering a new hire in the system. The first one says that you're going to be entering all of the employee's information yourself. So you as the client will enter everything that is in red, which is mandatory, yourself for this employee. The second option states that this employee will be completing the onboarding process on the web. That means that anything in red will need to be filled out by the employer, and then the employee will receive an email in which they will have to go into the system and complete the remaining information. The next thing we can go over is terminations. An employee termination can be easily done by you first either typing in the employee's name and/or you can click here for the employee and you're able to select an employee in our list. Once you select that employee, I am going to be terminating Adam. So once you select that employee, you can put them as term. You'll select a reason. We have several reasons in here in which you can pick to term this employee. This employee is retirement, and the termination date must be listed as well. If there's other explanation that must be listed, you have the opportunity to enter that information here. Once I'm complete, I'll just save, and now the employee has been terminated in the system. Another thing that we can look at is the employee information. The way you would do that, and I'm going to take you back to the dashboard, and we're actually going to select an employee. Today, we're going to use Roger Rabbit. Once you select on Roger Rabbit, it's going to open up a detail card in which there's many tabs that you can select on in regards to this employee's information. You have the name, their personal information, which would have their date of birth and their social, in which you are not able to modify the Social Security at any time. You have their address listed. You have their work information, their pay information, their tax information, their deposit information, skills and education, and property. Once again, you find the 3 lines up here, the action bar, in which this will give you other options. You can now select different options for this employee, Roger Rabbit. I can look at a payroll summary, which would give me a breakdown of what's happened year to date. I can also look at previous years if they were with us in the system. Another thing that may be beneficial to you is the payroll vouchers. I can click on payroll vouchers and it'll give me all voucher information for this employee. Again, you can look at historic information by clicking on the drop-down list where it states year. Once you open up a voucher, it then gives you more tabs to look at. You can look at the pay information, the deductions, the benefits if they have any, the tax information, banking, and banking is very important because this is where you'll reprint any of the check stub information. Once I hit banking, I can hit reprint check stub, and it's going to work and think about what it wants to do. And in a few minutes, it will open up the check stub for me. And here it is. So now I can either save this stub or I can print this stub. Another tab for the voucher is the PTO. So if you do have PTO within our system, that information would be listed here for you. So again, in the action bar with the options, there are many different things that you can do for the employee information. As well, there is documents. If you select on the documents, you are now able to load documents just for this employee. I've already loaded 2 documents for this employee in which it was the 2017 W-4 and the 2016 W-4 for them to be able to retrieve. The employee can now retrieve this information because the ESS, which stands for Employee Self-Service, has been checked. Once this has been checked, The employee can now retrieve this information on the employee self-service site. If you do not want the employee to have this information, you would simply uncheck it and or not check it at all. I'm going to close this. And this is the employee information that we just went over. The next thing that we're going to go over is the timesheet entry, and that would also be listed under My Payrolls. It is conveniently listed for me in My Favorites section, and that's how I'm going to access the timesheet entry today. Once I select the timesheet entry, I'll have the payroll number listed. The description is always the pay date. So the pay date is also listed here as well. The cutoff date, what we use the cutoff date is we determine when the employer has to enter the payroll. So at this point, the employer has up until July 25th, 2017 to enter this payroll at 4 p.m. This can be modified by your payroll specialist at any time. Let's click on the payroll number, in which this will open up the timesheet entry for us. Once the timesheet entry has opened, you'll see several things listed here. You'll have the employee number, the name of the employee, the pay rate of the employee, and several pay codes that can be used in this timesheet. We have the capability of listing up to 12 pay codes, so we can modify this to your liking. I'm going to go ahead and start to enter the timesheet. I would simply click on the pay code that needs to be entered. For Emma, she's going to receive 80 regular hours. Adam will receive 72 regular hours and 8 holiday hours. Arthur is going to receive 80 regular hours. If I tab down, I can go to Tiffany. Tiffany is going to receive 80 regular hours and 32 overtime hours. Roger Rabbit is going to receive 80 regular hours. However, Roger Rabbit also needs to receive a bonus. I do not see the bonus listed here. So what you would do in that case is click on the employee's name. This is going to bring you into a detailed timesheet entry. I now have the capability of selecting a pay code, in which at this time, I'm going to select a bonus pay code, and I'm going to give Roger Rabbit $500 in bonus amount. I'll then save it. It now gives me 2 pay codes that have been listed for Roger Rabbit with totals down here at the bottom. And once everything looks good to me on this end, I'll return, and this will bring me back to my timesheet entry. I'm going to give Bart 72 regular hours, and he had 8 holiday hours. Now that I have this information into the system, if I come over here to my right, I'll have a list of total hours entered. I will also have a list of total dollars entered and the gross pay amounts listed. Now let's go over some of the things that are listed here at the top. This right here just gives me a graph of, this right here is for any pay imports. So if you're going to import your timesheet, you would select here and you'd be able to import your timesheet into the system. This gives you a graph of what you have entered, total hours paid, and the average of the total hours paid. Here is your timesheet report. If you click on this piece of paper and you hit run, this will give you a total of everything you've already entered in the timesheet system. At this point, with the reports, I have actions here listed in which I can print this report, I can convert this to a PDF, I can print this to PDF, and or I can make this an Excel spreadsheet. I also have the capability of looking at the report right here on my screen. Once everything looks good, I can close that out. Another function in our timesheet entry is the search bar. If you have multiple employees, you can go ahead and you want to go to just one employee, you can start typing in the name, and it's going to bring you right to the employee that you need to go to. Also, If you have departments, divisions, and or different things that you filter your payroll by, you can filter now the timesheet in which maybe you only want to enter one department right now, and then you would like to fill out the remaining departments later. This is where you would filter that information to be able to just go by departments. Up here, you still have the action bar, in which, again, it will give you more options. One of the options that you may need to use is add employee to payroll. If you have a terminated employee and they need to be paid on this timesheet, you can either start typing in the name of the employee and or select employee, find the employee that you are looking for, and add them to the timesheet so that you may pay them on this payroll. Over here, with the little heads, this brings you to the employee detail information. So if you click on the person over here on the right, this will open up detail information that you may need to change. So you'll be able to modify this in the system now, and you can save it and go right back into your timesheet entry. Once everything looks good here on your timesheet entry screen, you will hit the Finalize Page button. It's going to ask, all employees for this batch have been finalized. Do you wish to finalize this batch? You will say yes if you're completed and no if you're not. Once you have selected that, the payroll has now been submitted over to your payroll specialist. You can click your clear logo and it'll bring you back to your dashboard screen. Another thing you can look at is the reports. We have several reports listed here for you to retrieve at any time. Thank you.